I think we missed a huge chance 15 years ago to become the development league of the NBA. Do you think Coach Obradovic is not having the final word on the players that they get? Or Šarūnas Jasikevičius or any other, let's say, coach? I always use the sentence of Coach Pop. It's not easy to play for a EuroLeague coach. Not for me, for a EuroLeague coach. Because we are all demanding, we all get crazy.
You said last year that not having played at a high level led you to always try to learn from your players. But on the other hand, I guess you joked or something, you said that you hate the game because it's selfish for the athletes. What's the balance between that?
I was meaning that I like much better practices than the games.
Than the games, okay.
Yes, because games, of course, you can see even this year in the EuroLeague, you know? Every game, they zoom on the coaches. We all look crazy. I honestly believe in what you said, because the players see the game, and with their creativity and their personality, sometimes they show you something that you did not see or you did not plan, okay? At the same time, I think I developed a good method in my life of teaching to the players, teaching the fundamentals, teaching the things, because if you don't develop a method, you know, you cannot coach, okay? And to develop a method means, in my opinion, that regardless how much you might know about basketball, and in these days with internet, YouTube, clinics, whatever, you can learn, you can see a lot. But the problem is all this information you have to process and put them in a way that is coordinated, so you know what you are capable to transfer from your knowledge to the players. Because if you try to transfer everything that you know in theory, you confuse them. So it's a little problem of balance, okay? But I always said that I like a lot to do the practice, because in the practice, I think I hope I can help a player. While in the game, usually, it's a player that helps me.
You often talk about equality in the locker room and in playing time. How much of a challenge is it?
I really believe that in a team, it's very important to acknowledge the differences and understand that there is somebody who is better than somebody else. Because basketball and a team is difficult. They can be living and run like a democracy. Unfortunately, there are players that are more important than others, and the big key is that the guys that have maybe a smaller role embrace that role and try to be the best possible in that role. So now another thing is trying to give some minutes to most of the players, which usually in a EuroLeague game is difficult, because if you use 10, sometimes 11 players, it's already a lot. To involve 12 players in a rotation, you saw the experience of Coach Kerr at the Olympics. On 40 minutes, to use 12 players, very, very difficult. So some players have to wait for their moment, because sometimes the moment comes after 2-3 games. And I have in the team this year a big example of this, which is Fabien Cosette. Fabien is 7 years with Real Madrid. Sometimes he was not playing for 2-3 games in a row, and then the 4th game, he was a starter. And he was playing a lot of minutes and really performing well. So I think that that's a big strength, a big mental strength in a player.
This is from outside the game for the fans or the media. I guess talent, vision, approach, flexibility and patience are kind of a starting 5 for a coach. Do all of them lead to a path or a solution to the dilemma, principles or persons, players?
It's a very important question that you mentioned. And I think that whoever is in position to, let's say, lead an organization, whether it's a sport organization or a business organization, at some point you will ask yourself if in my organization, principles or, let's say, values are more important than people, or vice versa. And I think that nobody has the right answer. I think that it's already a major step forward if you at least prepare or try to prepare to find an answer to this. Because we are, I think it's very, I would say, it's a little not realistic to say in my club or in my team values are more important, because then at some point you have a player that drives you crazy and plays a great game and wins the game for you. So what we do? We hate him? No. So there is a balance in everything. What I can tell you, and I think we all agree on this, the history of sports says that the organizations that in the long term to that questions answered that values of the organization are more important than people usually last more and won more. But in the short term, you can win also with accepting a lot of deviance or compromise a lot, you know? So again, I'm nobody to give you the answer for that, but I think it's already a good step to imagine that this problem or this question will come up.
They say that coaches get paid to take difficult decisions. Do you think that there is a line to approach the critics for a player as their characters? Are there players that can handle critics even from their coach? Is it something that is a challenge or difficult for you? Or do you have a certain approach?
Well, I think that all of us were different. What I've seen in my life is that it's more a matter of mutual respect. I can say that I respect you and treat you nicely and never said a bad word to you, but in reality, I don't think you're very good. At the same time, sometimes I can tell you a bad word or curse or get mad, but you understand what I mean, and vice versa. I got yelled by a player multiple times in my life, and I mean, with those who were real, the morning after we cleared, and we cleared in front of the team, because that's the thing. I can cross the line, or you as a player can cross the line. But if you do that in front of the team, don't come the day after and apologize individually, and vice versa. It matters also for me. If I cross the line with you, I gotta be enough honest to apologize to my player in front of the team. One-on-one doesn't match if it happened in front of everybody, you know? And I think that healthy organization, healthy teams, this kind of discussion and even fights sometimes happen, but if there is some deep honesty, okay, I think can be solved easily. It's much more worse, much more complicated when we fake togetherness. And sometimes it happens in life that you fake togetherness.
Is this the same with your opponent coaches? I mean, it's easy for you, for example, to pick up the phone and ask for information about a player that you want to add to your team.
I do it very rarely, and I tell you why. Because, not because I don't trust the coach, but because I think that what in a player can be good for a coach, maybe might not work with me and vice versa. So I prefer not to get information on a player until I talk to him and get my personal feel. And I respect all my colleagues, but you know, I think it's better like this.
I assume that analytics are useful, but is there a nice reason to put aside characteristics like instinct or just a simple thought or inspiration about basketball?
Very good question. Honestly, congratulations. I'm enjoying the very interesting questions. Now, going back to your question about the analytics, I think that in the analytics, sometimes we forget a couple of very important things. First, against who you put up that numbers. So, let's say in a season you average 10 points and 5 rebounds. Then I go watch, and you score a lot of points against the bad teams, and against the good teams, you don't do the same. So that average is like the famous story of the chicken. You know, I eat 2, you eat 0. The average says that you had the chicken, I had the chicken. It's not true. That's not reality. Second, when did you do that? It's not the same thing to score 4 points in a close game, fourth quarter, or score 8 in the first quarter. Completely different. So when things happen and against who you put up those numbers, I think are very important. And I think in this, we have to make a huge step forward to analyze the numbers and be guided by the numbers. And I trust more the statistics that give me something about the tendency. So let's say you're right-handed, for example, but when you go left, your pull-up is much more efficient. So I trust those statistics, and so I think, and as for a coach, I think that at the end of the day, and I'm glad that when I was 5 years with Coach Popovich, I saw him basically living this principle. I think you have to go with your gut feeling. Sometimes you put, in a certain way for a coach, for us as coaches, it's easy to finish the game with the 5 best players because nobody can say, maybe they criticize you less if you lose. But sometimes your gut feeling says, well, I have to go with that player rather than this starter because I feel that this one is in the game. And sometimes you take the right decision, sometimes you miss.
I will not ask you to compare NBA and EuroLeague, but do you think that they're allies or enemies?
I think we missed a huge chance 15 years ago to become the development league of the NBA. I think that was a mistake in envisioning the future. If we would have become, let's say, not in a diminishing way, but the G League, the league where players could have developed, now we would not be in this situation where the market is closed, where it's very difficult to get players, and where more or less our future, I think, is a little bit, a concern, because we are becoming an old league, So I don't see them also. I don't think that in basketball you can see any organization, FIBA, EuroLeague, or NBA, like enemies, because that would be stupid. I think we are a microcosmos. Compared to the rest of the world, compare what is going on, compare of the numbers, the business, whatever. Comparing with soccer, basketball, we are a small, unit, and I think we need to do the best to have better relationship and more balance.
Coach Trinchieri told us last week that the EuroLeague is an aged league, as his opinion, with 35-year-old.
That's not an opinion; it's a fact.
With 35-year-old players dominating. Do you agree? And is this?
Did you read my interview? I said that 5 years ago. He came. I think he came a little late. I said a little bit.
Is there room or money versus the NBA to keep the talent in high level?
Well, I give you an answer, making you an example. We have players in our youth program who were playing with our national team who got the silver medal in the World Cup. Okay, so very promising kids. They have already been not promised, but at least put on the table huge NIL offers to go to college next year. So if imagine this and translate that to professional level. I mean, it's unfortunately is no surprise. That's what I said when I said that 15 years ago we should have imagined a different future for yourself. Now the problem is that there is no market whatsoever.
After all these years in coaching, what is your motivation and how do you see the future of basketball?
My personal motivation is enjoying. I can tell you that I would like to go. I was very fortunate. I coached teams that went to the Final Four in 4 different decades. It's pretty interesting. Okay, so maybe I could be spoiled and say I would like to go also in the 5th decade, but I'm joking. Okay, but so you can always find motivation for yourself. Okay, but the reality is go to the gym and enjoy the challenge with your players, even if you have, let's say, sometimes pain, sufferance, tension, whatever. But I think it's very, very nice. As for the future of basketball, I think that the most important thing is, first of all, try to find a solution and some kind of, let's say, common plan with FIBA and NBA. Okay, because at some level, when Adam Silver talks about something in Europe, considering their power and economical, technical, whatever, and what they put together in Africa, I'm concerned, because I would not like to go back to 2000, the year 2000, when we had 2 leagues. I would like to have something common in the future, okay? Basketball-wise, I think we have to do something to clean up the game, because the game is becoming too physical. And there are a couple of topics that I think would be important to at least open a discussion. One is to use in the EuroLeague the defensive 3-second rule. And second, to emphasize more the hand checking. In the NBA, they cleaned the game. They cleaned the game when they decided that any kind of minimum touch on the ball handler was immediately a foul. That changed completely. The level of scoring, the level of physicality, the level of the athleticism remained the same, but it was not contact like it was in the in the 90s and in 2000. I see the games every year are becoming more and more physical and almost impossible to referee. And so I think it's worth a discussion. I don't even know if in the EuroLeague we have a technical commission, but I think it would be interesting that if there is a technical commission, we go to work and sit and discuss this, because there are a couple of topics that could be important to help the game.
Specifically in EuroLeague.
This is a scoop, huh?
Okay. Specifically in the EuroLeague, last year we had the play-in form for the first time, and there's an upcoming rule for the financial fair play rule. Do you think that this is something to improve the league, both of them?
Financial fair play is one thing. If he has to be confused with salary cap, it's completely 2 different things. Because for every rule that you implement, the most important thing is not the rule itself, is if you can enforce the rule. I give you an example. In the NBA, if any owner decide to cross the rule, like it happened some years ago with a couple of owners, the NBA, don't ask me why, but probably they have a great, let's say, office that work on these kind of things, they catch you immediately. And they punish you with fine, taking away picks from you and whatever. So what are the possibilities for the EuroLeague to control that under the table, nothing happens? This is the first thing. So how you enforce the rule, okay? And that's the most important thing. Second, if we talk about numbers, if those numbers are net, it's clear that in some country, that figure gross becomes double. In some other countries become much, much less. So that's already an unfair situation. So there are a lot of things. It's good that we try to aim at something, okay, to equalize the level and to allow maybe teams with smaller budget to be competitive, to win, because that's the essence of sport. But rather than dream big, I think we can, let's say, we have to concentrate on those steps or those decisions that can be applied and can also be double-checked. Otherwise, we talk too much of theory.
Do you prefer Final Four or playoff series?
Playoff, by the way. And you're asking the question to one of the 2 coaches that played that beautiful final series, not only because my team won, but because it was an unbelievable series with 5 sell-out arenas 5 times, incredible games, incredible players. We were watched in South America because of all the Argentinians. Can you imagine a EuroLeague final best of 5? I mean, that would be a great show. Oh, by the way, I forgot the other reason why talking about cap or whatever. The essence of cap in the United States, in the NBA, is that there is a pot where all the money coming from the TV rights come, and then they are shared equally between all the teams, which is not the case in the EuroLeague. So there are a lot of things that have to be addressed before we can discuss about that, in my opinion.
Your dual role as coach and president of basketball operations in Milan is common in the NBA. Do you think that it's the future in Europe too?
Look, besides the title, the job title, do you think Coach Obradovic is not having the final word on the players that they get? or Šarūnas Jasikevičius or any other, let's say, coach so it's just a matter of, let's say, it's not a matter of job titles. It's a matter of having possible the last word. I don't interfere in ticketing, marketing, or whatever. I give my opinion, and if I see something that I really think is not right, I go to my people, and Claudio is here, and I say, listen, we cannot do this. But I have people but in the team, and especially when it goes down to putting the team together, possibly I would like to coach players that I think I can coach and I think can fit our team. So that's where I have my last word, independently from the job title.
Theo Papaloukas still thinks that you are the only coach who understood him. How was your time together in CSKA, and is there any other player to communicate just in eye contact these days?
Honestly, it's really humbling that Theo thinks that. And you told me something which is really, really nice. And I'm thankful for that. Sometimes you hit well with a player, sometimes not. So, I mean, it's like in life, no? It's not. There are other players that I had the huge luck to connect with the eye contact. And more important, and I always use the sentence of Coach Pop. It's not easy to play for a EuroLeague coach. Not for me, for a EuroLeague coach. Because we are all demanding, we all get crazy, we all want to win, we're all under pressure. Last year, 50% of the coaches in EuroLeague were released. Can you believe it? I mean, not other sports in the world. So we are nervous, unfortunately. We would like to be nicer like in preseason, but so we really need players who allow us to coach them. And they understand that sometimes it's more important what we said rather than how we said. You know, it's not easy. It's not easy. You need special players, more players, special people to understand that. We need to make a step forward. They need to welcome us. So that a player like Theo says something like this is really, I mean, it's a nice gift for me tonight.
What else did you keep from working with Coach Popovich?
Who? Believe me, every day was really special. Great ability from him to, let's say, avoid any waste of time. He could make a meeting with 3 clips. Show 3 clips to the players, just go to boom, 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 boom to the goal, and that's it. He was able, well, let me say this. All coaches have, at some point, when they get crazy or they get upset with a player that maybe makes too many mistakes, we kind of hate the player in the sportive sense of the word. Don't make sure that you put it in the right way. Coach is the same. Coach Pop is the same. He can get really mad. But his memory of this hate is short like this. Some of us can hold that for 2 days. Some of us can hold that for a week. Somebody can hold it a couple of hours. Coach Pop, he can really be mad, pull you out of the game, yell at you, but his memory of that is very short, and very quickly, sincerely, he can pat you on the back, he can put you back in the game, sometimes he can even joke, even under the pressure of the game. And that changes the life of the player in better. That's something that you cannot copy. You can just witness the greatness and take it on, okay?
Coach Pop always said that it was too easy to coach Duncan, Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili. Is that true?
Not true. It's not true.
No.
It's not true. First of all, because you have to be at the level of those 3. You know, when we say, you know, Coach Obradovic coached a lot of great players. I was lucky to have a lot of great players. But every day it's a challenge because you have to be at the level of those players. You have to come up ready with something. So you have a big pressure on you that you cannot disappoint these players. What I can say is that for sure, Coach Pop never disappointed anybody, for sure.
Was Kobe Bryant a coachable player?
Yeah.
What was his mindset?
But I mean, I was very fortunate because I witnessed in the NBA two different kinds of leadership. The quiet but still very strong leadership of Tim Duncan, who could raise his eyebrow and let everybody understand that things had to be done better, or a much more vocal, aggressive leadership of Kobe. But both what they wanted was to win, And for me, it was an interesting lesson of life.
Is there any fear in basketball, and do you think that there's any big paradox or misconception of the game?
Well, I don't know if I answered your question, but the biggest paradox in sports is that everybody evaluates, even ourselves, everything based on the result. And a lot of times you win, but you did not deserve, or you lost and you did not deserve. So being able to analyze the performance a little bit more neutral, because there are many times that you should be able to say, okay, today we lost, but if we keep doing this, we will win games, and vice versa. Today we won, but we have to be careful, because if we play like this, we're going to lose games. But the way it is, and especially in these days, where what you say and how you look is much more important than what you do. Because of the media, because of the social media, because you can see that with the young people, our sons. So unfortunately, this is the reality. And so that final result, win by one, great, lose by one, disaster. And that's scary, honestly.
With all this experience, how do you define success, talent, ambition, and motivation? And what do you think is the most important?
You have a couple of hours?
Yes. You don't?
Talent is ability to do difficult things to do easy things in difficult moments. Talent is the ability to move on to the next play. The ability to show something complicated and make it look simple. All these things are talent, and it's a combination. I think motivation, the most important kind of motivation, comes from within yourself. For sure, the example of other people, for sure, the level of the goal, whatever. But if you don't have it inside, I think it's very difficult, very, very difficult. And there are people that were their mental strength and mental desire to make things happen should be an inspiration. But that's the problem. The most important thing, in my opinion, is integrity. That's not, integrity, I think it was Gandhi who said this, is when what you say aligns with what you think and what you do. Very complicated. And that's how I think you check people. Every time you have a little feel that the person in front of you does not have the alignment between what he has here, what comes out of his mouth, or how he behaves, now the red alarm sounds, and now we have a problem.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.